I, 27 female, used to be an escort until I was 23. I'm not proud of it, but I also don't care because I did what I had to keep studying and a roof over my head. That's how I met my now fiancé, 37 male, though he was never my client. We began to date when I was 25, and 3 or 4 months after that, his brother-in-law exposed me. No idea how he found out, because there's no way my fiancé knew, and thus we had to come clean in front of his whole family. Yes, I did that. Yes, he knows. Yes, he doesn't care. It was 2 years ago at that time. We got over it. After that, there were 3 or 4 months when my mother-in-law and some of my fiancé's aunts and cousins policed their husbands when I was around. To be honest, it was really weird because these dudes were like 40 or 60 years old, and I wasn't that desperate. So my fiancé shut their BS hard, even when his family still gave me the side eye from time to time. We thought it was behind us. He proposed last year, and 5 months ago we found out that I was pregnant. We were really happy about it and told his family as soon as we knew. His sisters and young brother were happy for us, but his mom took me aside and begged me to be honest with her and asked if it was my fiancé's child. I was taken aback, but I just rolled my eyes and said yes. She gave me some stupid speech about how she only wanted to make sure and that she was happy to be a grandmother. Well, last weekend we were at his parents' with his family and some of his friends, and we were talking about the name, how he might look, small talk, we will love him regardless, but there's always some, oh, I hope he gets your nose, I like your eyes, I hope he gets them comments. My father-in-law said that he and his children have a birthmark on their inner thigh, and that even his grandchildren, one of my sister-in-law's kids, got them, so our baby might too. And then he said, but how can we know from whom he got it? It may as well be from me, my boy, or my brothers. And he and his brothers began to laugh. My fiancé got mad, and before he could say anything, I said, I don't get it. And my father-in-law was, yeah, because it runs in the family. And I said again, I don't get it. Why would he get it from you? He began to get nervous and said, because, it's just a joke, OP. And I said, but I don't get it. And you all laughed. Explain. It got to the point that some of his friends said, hey, it's not funny. So he excused himself and left. Later, my fiancé's brother-in-law came to me and said that I was wrong for embarrassing him like that in his own house, and that I knew what the joke was about, and because of my past, I shouldn't be surprised. So now they're all demanding that I apologize to my father-in-law. You know you're not the idiot. They're harassing you aggressively in a family setting. Honestly, I would have added, it sounds like you're implying that we cheated, and I don't understand why that's a joke you'd make to your daughter-in-law. Father-in-law clearly knows he's wrong. I say push back as hard as you can. Agreed, not the idiot. You did exactly what needed to be done. If you allow them to make these jokes without calling them out, it will never stop. They will never let this go. Every child will be scrutinized and you will be miserable. And screw brother-in-law for outing you like that. How awful. You tell him you will apologize when they apologize for hurting you. You tell him that he has no right to denigrate you, that you did your job for good money and you're done. The thing I can't wrap my brain around is how no one else in the family had an issue with his joke. If my husband ever makes an inappropriate comment like that to whomever my son decides to be with, I will hurt him in extremely creative ways. I get that the OP's mother-in-law sounds just as toxic, but the joke was still so awful and no female in that group should be okay or comfortable with that. That was it. I wasn't getting the joke. How was it funny that father-in-law was saying that he, and most of the men in his family, would cheat on their wives with his daughter-in-law, or that they'd hoodwink his son by having intimacy with his wife? This is definitely one of those times where I honestly don't get the joke. And think, once OP said something, father-in-law's friends started going, yeah, wait, why were we laughing? What a loser. My wife had an accident a few months ago which has her unable to go to work right now or properly care for the kids. Since her spine got severely hurt, we're not sure yet if it will cause some sort of permanent disability. My wife and I both have very supportive parents who are more than willing to help us out with the kids while I work and she recovers. My wife is totally against this idea. She loves and appreciates both mine and her parents, but she doesn't want to rely on them. She suggested hiring a stay-at-home nanny. Now, I'm not against hiring a nanny in general, but I'm uncomfortable with the idea of a stay-at-home nanny and having a stranger living in my house. I told her I would love to hire a nanny for the hours I'm working, and I can't help her out, but that she doesn't have to stay at home and she gets to go home once I return from work. I've always done housework, so it's not a strange concept for me to do the housework and care for the kids once I come back from work. For some reason, my wife won't have it this way and insists that the nanny stays in home. I tell her again and again I don't want a stranger living in my house. I'd rather our parents take shifts and live in our house rather than a stranger. Of course, our parents would also love that. My wife says I'm being ridiculous, and I have no say on whether we'll hire a stay-at-home nanny or not, and I have to suck it up and stop being such a dismissive idiot. I don't understand how I'm dismissive by saying I'd rather not have a stranger live in our house. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your answer and offer are reasonable, especially since you do your fair share of parenting and chores. Plus, it's not like live-in nannies are 24/7 and do chores unless she's willing to pay extra for these things. I think you need to dig deeper into why she finds these answers dismissive. It doesn't sound dismissive with the info you gave us or necessary, but it'd be good to know if she has a rational answer. Everyone's the idiot here. You do have a say. It's also your house, and I'm guessing you're the one who's going to pay for it. But I get your wife, having 4 people coming in and out, having parents getting into your business, invading your privacy, and someone you pay is going to take care of your kids the way you tell them to. Grandparents can be a pain and do things their way. You are the idiot. You need a better argument than stranger in my house. It's not a reasonable argument. There are and have been live-in paid help forever. There are very few horror stories of such, compared to those that have gone just fine. Your wife knows better what she needs for help right now than you do, and you should let her make that call. You are a grown-up. You can experience an uncomfortable thing and become comfortable with it. This whole situation is messed up, and I don't know if what I did was right or not. So my teen male sister, nearly adult, is high-functioning autistic. Ever since I could remember, she's had issues related to this, but I'll stick to the social ones relevant to what's going on. But the short of it is, my sister has always suffered from low social awareness and has a hard time understanding norms or what social rules dictate the certain situation. This leads to our current problem. My sister right now is a social outcast at school. Ever since we came back from quarantine, all her friends she had have abandoned her and she's gained a very toxic reputation at school. This is because she's a snitch. While my sister does excellently academically and has never been put into any special program, like I said, she has to be specifically taught how to act socially. For some reason, that's beyond me. Not snitching has never been something my parents or counselors have worked on with her. Because of this, she has no concept of what a secret is and will parrot anything she hears to anyone. What's worse is that she does have a moral compass, and part of this is that she will just tell an authority figure if someone else is violating that. Because of all this, she has been given the nickname Rachel the Rat. Not her real name, but it follows the same theme, and people avoid her at all costs. What is so outright bizarre about all this is that my sister is more than capable of learning these things. She's done it with every other behavior that has caused issues. But my parents almost seemingly refuse to teach her about this. I've brought it up before, and each time I'm told that it's a good thing she's honest. But I feel like my parents only allow this to continue because they're afraid of her keeping secrets from them. Last night, I made the mistake of finally telling my sister the truth. She came to me in private and broke down about a friend of hers who went off in DMs telling her to keep the heck away from her. I know why, as this friend was one of the many my sister has screwed by ratting them out. So I told her the truth. Everyone at school thinks she's a rat and knows that anything they say around her is parroted to others. She will go and tell any authority on them if they tell her anything personal that would not fly by her. She broke down crying at this and I tried to comfort her. My parents quickly became involved and are livid. I would say this to her. I feel like I did nothing wrong here, but she spent the rest of the night ignoring me and my parents are livid. Should I apologize to her even though I feel like what I said was right? So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Rachel needs clear and direct feedback to learn the social norms that others will hold her to. Not knowing that it's considered rude to snitch is causing her pain. As someone very similar to your sister, I'm sick of people not telling me what I do wrong. It sucks for her, but as long as you support her in learning, you've done her a kindness in the long term. I'm guessing OP's parents are not autistic. Sure, it sounds right to say you should always tell the truth and never keep any secrets, but you can also be sure that the parents would lie and keep secrets in some situations. The problem is that it's obvious to them when you should lie and when you should tell the truth, and they unconsciously assume it must be obvious to autistic people. Neither you nor your sister is the idiot. Your parents are, though. It's their job to teach and guide, and instead they're choosing to be nice. This will impact the rest of her life. You did the right thing. Now she has a chance to self-reflect and potentially grow and change. You did right by your sister, even if no one else wants to recognize it. I, 25 female, have a gay cousin, Jake, 22 male, who's one of my best friends. My parents are paying for my wedding. A lot of our family is extremely religious, so you can already tell where this is going. I have a big family with over 20 cousins, but Jake is the only one I'm close to. I've always lived across the country from my cousins, but Jake decided to go to college at my school in the city where I still live. The wedding venue we chose will only accommodate 100 guests. Unfortunately, we both have big families, so this has meant making some cuts to the guest list, and I'm not inviting any of my other cousins except Jake. My aunts and uncles are invited. When my parents saw the guest list, which had Jake and his boyfriend on it, they freaked out and said I couldn't invite them because it would make a lot of the other guests at the wedding uncomfortable. I was very upset and said that they both already knew I was inviting them since I see them all the time. They even helped me pick my dress, and I already asked Jake to do a secular reading at the wedding. My parents said that I need to tell Jake and his boyfriend that they can't come, and that if I don't want to hurt their feelings, I can tell them that it's because none of my other cousins are invited. I know they will see right through this. Maybe the most heartbreaking part of all of this is that Jake genuinely thinks my parents are his allies in the family, and he gushes about them all the time and how grateful he is for them because they have been way more accepting than the rest of the family. My parents obviously are, in fact, phobic, but they've never said anything overtly hurtful to or in front of Jake, have never tried to stage a prayer intervention for him, and have met his boyfriend and were nice to him, which the rest of our family, including his own parents, have done the exact opposite of all those things. So I just had a massive fight with my parents over this and said they should feel horrible about themselves because Jake thinks they're his lifeline and are cowards. It got very heated. I told them that they're bigots, and I'm so disappointed that if I'm not allowed to have a say in who comes to my wedding, then thanks but no thanks to them paying for it, and we will literally go to the courthouse. My fiancé is also disgusted by my parents' behaviour and says he is on board with an elopement if that's what I want to do, but I know his family will be upset, and that would cause problems for him and us. My parents said I was in the wrong for using a family event to make a statement. They also said that I'm showing favouritism and being unfair by inviting Jake and not my other cousins and prioritising Jake's feelings over my aunts, uncles and grandmother. So, am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. Elope, and have Jake and someone from your fiancé's family as your witnesses. Then go to a party with only Jake and your fiancé's family. Idiots can reap what they sow, and it's disgusting for your parents to try to leverage their funds to control your wedding. Oh, they can buzz off with all of this, especially the statement. It's such an infuriating cover for their hatred. Not the idiot. Good on you for standing up for your cousin. Me, I would at this point say okay and add 2 other friends to the list, then have Jake and his partner show up on the day to take those seats. Problem solved. That is, if Jake and his partner are on board, knowing they might face a bunch of idiots if they show up. My parents said I'm wrong for using a family event. What? Your wedding is not a family event. It's your wedding. So invite whoever you want or go to the courthouse and let Jake and his boyfriend be your witnesses. You are not in the wrong, and it's ridiculous how they're acting in this situation. They need to fix their mindsets. I, 24 female, live with my parents and I work night shifts. I get home around 7:30 a.m. and will sleep until around 3. My parents would come into my bedroom and wake me up at 11 a.m. so I could still have time to enjoy my day. I started using the lock on my door and it stopped. Then they began playing loud music to wake me up, but I started using earbuds to block out the noise. Finally, they called me to wake me up, so I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. They want me to be awake to spend time with family. I get it, but I'm available to spend time with them in the afternoon, so I don't see why it has to be midday. This morning they picked the lock and sent my brother in to wake me up, saying that he misses me. I took him back downstairs and handed him to Dad, saying that I still needed more sleep. Dad started raising his voice about how I'm barely even a part of the family anymore. I began yelling that I need my sleep so I can function during my shifts, and that it's not like I'm unemployed and staying up all night just so I can sleep all day. He couldn't believe that I yelled back, but I didn't stick around and went back to sleep. this time moving my dresser in front of the door. Neither of my parents is talking to me at the moment. My actions were probably rude, so am I the idiot? Edit. Moving out is not an option. You know what, OP? You should go into their rooms in the middle of the night and wake them up because you want to spend time with family and see how much they like it. They are absolutely ridiculous and disrespectful to you. Gosh, this is super weird. Have they always been controlling? Do they hate your job? This is very, very unnatural behaviour. You don't need better locks, you need to sit down or to move out. I hope you'll find your own place because their behaviour is horrible. It seems that it's more like people who've never worked nights are completely unaware of how night shifts work. I worked nights for a couple of years after college, and you'd be surprised by the number of people who will disregard the instruction, "Don't call me before X p.m. because I'll be asleep." Instead, they think that if you're sleeping past noon, you're lazy. Don't you all think OP would have moved out by now if it was an option? Such dumb recommendations, I swear. OP, start calling and texting your parents' phone while working in the middle of the night. Mom and Dad get the hint after a week or so and never disturb you again. Good luck.